So I've brought Skelly back in so he can help us create a better image of our spine. And then we will be exploring more the movement, starting from what we worked on in this first class, patterns of ease. But before we get to that, let's see the 6 curves of the spine. We have the occipital curve, then the cervical, the thoracic, the lumbar, the sacrum, and then the coccyx or the tail. So notice that they are opposing to one another. So we have concave, convex, concave, convex, concave, and if we think that we had a few extra bones way back when, this would have been convex. So, and this is an important matter because we're going to start our exploration right from the tail, actually. So, I want you to imagine that we're starting the movement from the tip of my fingertips, not from my wrist, which would be the sacrum, but from the fingertips, which is the tail. And we're going to start reaching back and up. This will give us length without pushing and pulling. So, with no further ado, let's swing Skelly over here to the right and take a seat, because it is much easier when we have some point of contact. So remember that first exercise that we did in patterns of ease, where we created some tone in the midsection of our body, and then we added flexion to it. We're going to do the same thing, but I don't want you to take your mind at the head. I want you to take your mind at your tail. So flex and allow for the pelvis to tilt back. And then from here, create a little pressure with the tail in your seat. Very gentle pressure. So not from the hips, which would have been what I was showing you before with my wrist, but from the very tip of your tail. Find this, feel that you're pushing into the chair and diving out. And the rest of the spine responds. We're just not paying attention to it at the moment. Very gentle movement, that's it. Let's do one more. Good. And emerge. And now we're going to take that and relate it to the exercise we started this whole session with. Crown of the head to tail. So here we go. Create flexion, and you can actually place one hand at the top and allow for feedback to come with the help of your chair. And these two go in opposite directions, both of them though emerging. One is going forward and up, and the other one is going back and up. And flex and emerge from both ends. And flex and emerge. And flex and emerge and hold here. Notice how much length you have in your spine without pulling. So the tail creates this counterbalance of the head and creates this length without holding, without tightening up the spine. So as you can imagine, we're going to make our way to standing, just like we did in that first exercise. But now we have those two ends of the spine to think about and activate. Let's go. Flex, gather everything in, so all of the things we talked about before still apply. And emerge both ends, head and tail, coming all the way up. And now this is where we will feel the tail more. So place a hand at the tail, because now we have no feedback from, no touch. And start from there, this emerging pattern. And your head will counterbalance the tail. And go. One more time. Let's do like one more impulse. The tail goes back and up. And now back and up and all the way down. Flex. And here we go. Forward and up with a head, back and up with a tail, all the way up we go. And now here again, you can place one hand at the tail if you need feedback, and you go 4 pulses, tail, tail, and let the head counterbalance. Tail, and now all the way down we go. Of course, feel free to pause the video anytime you need and repeat. We're going to add this pivot with that powerful integrity that the tail gives to the spine. So let's create a flexion, and now start the pivot from the tail. So you start from the very end of your spine, pivoting, and now the head is going forward and up, the tail is going back and up, all the way up. And here again, so your tail is looking for your seat. It's not just going back, it's looking for your seat, leading you safely back to seated. And let's go over to the other side. Create that flexion, rotate, find those 2 ends, come up, and now allow for the tail to reach towards your seat and take you back down. So this, we're going to take it more and look at it more into detail when we're looking at the range of motion into more motion centers of our spine.